Week 3. This week we're going to be working on how to graph digitally. So hopefully you've graphed in math class and maybe in some science classes, but maybe you haven't used online tools yet. And so this video, if you've never done it, is here to help you. So we look at our first experiment. A clam farmer has been keeping records concerning the water temperature and the number of clams developing from fertilized eggs. The data is recorded below. And so you're going to turn this into a graph. All right, so if you've graphed in math class, you've done it like this, right? X, Y. All right, so if you, let's say your math teacher gives you, I'm so sorry. Let's say your math teacher gives you this, 3, 8. Then you would know that you need to put your 3 over here and your 8 over here. Well, that's exactly how your computer thinks of it. They look at each of these as this being X and this being Y. So it's really important that we put our correct columns together. We know that graphs should go independent on the x-axis and the dependent on the y-axis, right? So what you measure at the end. We've looked at and practiced the way that I think the best way to learn variables between independent and dependent is the effect of independent on dependent, right? So in our experiment, what are we testing? And that would be the effect of water temperature on the number of developing clams. So we know that we have our X as our independent and Y as our dependent. So this table is set up for us all ready to go. We don't need to change what numbers are where. So you can just highlight it, just holding your mouse. A little shortcut is if you hold the shift button, you could use the arrows. You could also click around. As long as you're holding shift, you can keep clicking around. So I go to insert. Sorry, the cat got out and my fiance's just caught him. So you go to insert, chart. Give it a little second, and it just will automatically take that data and put it into a nice chart for us. So you can just scooch this thing down where we can work on it. And let's evaluate this graph, how we're doing. We look at water temperature. That's a perfect label. We have our numbers correct. We look at the number of clams, and our numbers are correct. I don't love our title, right? They're not competing against each other. And so to change that, if you just click on the title, notice this screen just changed. So if I go back, set up, I click on the title, and it'll automatically bring me to customize, chart access, the chart title. And so we can automatically edit. The best title for a scientific graph is the effects of blank on blank, right? And so our independent, the effects of water temperature on the number of developing clams. Enter. It's fixed. Scientific titles aren't very fancy. They don't look real nice, but you know when you look at this exactly what it is. So let me double click this thing to bring our editor back up. The last thing we got to look at is the data itself. If you ever have numbers in the x-axis, you should automatically just change that to a line graph. So you go to setup, and it'll say the chart type. You could do a dots. There's all kinds of options down here if you want to get into those. But we just want a simple line graph for this one. And that's all we have to do. Graph's done. We look at the next example. And instead of reading this whole thing for you, basically what we're doing is they took different types of surfaces and saw how far a ball will roll on them. And so the first thing I notice when I look at this is our chart is not in our X, Y format that our computer recognizes. So you will actually have to retype all of these if you ever get your data in this kind of format. Instead of me typing all of them, I'm going to use another hotkey that might help you. If you hold Control and C, that will copy, and you can hit Control V and it will paste. And so I'm just going to go through here and quickly, as quick as I can, copy and paste all these into our XY format that the computer And hopefully your brain associates with a graph, right? Think about all your math class. When you're making graphs, you always do that XY. I'll race you here. You should do yours live and see if you can do it faster than me. No. Okay, so we have our graph we have our data table in the appropriate format we're looking for. So I just highlight those, insert at the top, chart, right? It doesn't have a graph button, it says chart for some reason. We look and it looks like, again, Google Sheets is really good, excuse me. Google Sheets is really good at recognizing that these are titles, right? So they automatically set you up with the types of surface, with the distance the ball rolls, with your unit. Awesome, awesome. Let's look at our chart first because it automatically brings you to the setup. Because it's words, we are going to want to use a bar graph. And to help you with the reasoning a little bit, if we scroll up here, I can know, even though I don't have a data point at, say, 27 degrees Celsius, I know that I could use this line to get a general estimate, right? There is a 27 degrees out there, right? But if we scroll down here to our words, is there something between ceramic, tile, and wood? No, right? There isn't a half and half. And so we want those individually labeled. So we're going to change ours from a line to a bar. And there we go. One thing left, though. Still not liking my title. So I'm going to double click that. Text title. The effect of types of surfaces on the distance a ball can roll. So we have our appropriate title, our appropriate type of graph, and as easy as that, you have learned to graph online. You are going to use this skill at the end of this week. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you're struggling with it, you at least found this video, so that's a good start. But feel free to email, Schoology message, remind, we're here for you. Let us know if you need help. And good luck, Wildcats.